and welcome back to the Back to Business podcast. I am your main host, Sarah Annis, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Mike and Chaya. Hey guys, how's it going?
What's
Hello.
going on? How are you?
How are you?
Good. We're starting off
I
nice
know.
and
I
early
know
this
we have.
morning.
I know we have a bunch of topics, but can I jump to a different one for a second?
What are we going to tell you? No? Go
Okay,
for
good.
it.
So, Mike, did you see who won the elections in New York yesterday?
I didn't know that there was elections in New York yesterday.
Okay, you need to see this. The DSA,
Mike-
which is the Democratic Socialists of America, like all Mamdani's people, swept the elections.
Okay.
Swept.
I think it's because the Knicks won. So
Well, the
people are
turnout
just-
was really low, but
okay. Why are they holding elections in June?
well, I think this is like for the primaries, for Congress. But in New York, you already know whoever the Democrat primary, it's automatic win.
Right. And everyone has to run as a Democrat or a socialist there, right?
Yes, those are the two choices.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And it
Mike,
turns
I
out
feel
that now. Sorry, Sarah.
I was just going to say, I feel so much better that you didn't know either, because when Chaya asked me this morning, I was like, huh? What? So, making me feel good.
Do you get-
Thank you.
You guys, who doesn't read the New York Post when they wake up?
And you'd be surprised. A lot of people.
But shout out New York Post.
Right?
Nothing like the New York Post. It's the funniest paper ever. You guys ever read it? Their headlines and their cover story, they're just the best.
It's like those magazines right in front when you're checking out at the grocery store.
Yeah.
The New York Post just trashes everybody. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah. Well, if
Yeah,
it works, it
something that-
works.
But
The
yeah, but what's
colors,
crazy
the
is they literally
headlines.
swept. They literally swept, and they're openly. What's interesting to me is, it used to be like, people with kind of socialist tendencies like didn't openly say it, but I think there's like been this fundamental shift where it's become socially acceptable, which I find kind of fascinating, terrifying, but fascinating.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Michael?
I mean, it's New York. I'm not surprised, right? New York isn't the rest of the world or the rest of the country. But are we really surprised at this point? I'd be surprised if Middle America started having sweeping elections like that. But also at the same time, I think extremism in a whole is taking over. So we're losing a lot of middle ground, and that's not good for anyone.
Yeah, I agree. Mike could run for office. His takes are so correct. It's like, so like in the middle, like in Hebrew, there's a word called parav. It's not meat and it's not dairy. It's like neutral.
I heard-
So I'm the main course and dessert.
You're like,
Is what
exactly,
you're saying.
exactly. You're like you're like the dairy-free ice cream. It's like, it's okay, but it's really not ice cream.
I'm
You know, you have-
convinced. I'm convinced Mike has a PR coach ever since starting the podcast. He's just
Yes,
his
there's like this whole
responses are
other
so
side of him
perfect.
that doesn't come out on the podcast, and like he's Mr. Controversy. He says the most controversial things,
No.
and we can't get it out of him.
It's funny.
Well,
I
maybe
was
today's
talking
the day.
to, I forgot who I was talking to about this, and I was talking about the podcast. And they're like, so how do you like doing it? I'm like, I love doing it. I'm like, but like that voice in the back of your head that says, hey, this is going to be on the internet forever, really makes you reconsider a lot of things.
But I don't know who you are anymore. You never would have reconsidered, like pre-old age Mike. That thought would have never entered your head.
Maybe this is part of growth.
Maybe,
I think it's
maybe.
maturity. And I think it
Right.
is important because what you put on the internet does live forever. I mean, you see it
Mhm.
time and time again with old tweets resurfacing from 15 years ago. Crazy that there's tweets that are that old, but there are.
Do they still call them tweets?
What else are you going to call them? X's?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
Like, that
it's no
doesn't-
longer. It's no longer Twitter. What's it called?
I don't.
Are we all too old and we're still calling it like?
I think it's still a tweet on the X
Yes.
platform.
Got
Yes.
it. Okay.
I don't think,
Yeah.
they haven't come up with something new. And if they have, I'm not hip enough to know. So, tweet it is. I'll always remember the little bird, RIP.
So long story
Um,
short, what I got from Mike's very powerful take was he's okay with the socialists
As long
because
as they're
it's
I
far
there.
away. Yeah.
as long as they're in predictable cities is what my takeaway was.
Hmm.
But if you had them popping up in like Oklahoma, I think Mike would be freaking out.
We'd get a little different reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
uh, Wisconsin. I don't know. Those seem like states that we're not getting socialism out of anytime soon. At
Right.
least I hope
Oh,
not.
in other news, before we get to the topics that we're supposed to talk about,
Yes.
the trailers have officially hit the road.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I think the first ones are going out actually in the next day or two, but they've officially been wrapped or are being wrapped, and they're hitting the road.
All right. Well, first person to send me a picture of the trailer with our advertisement on it, send it to me, and you get $100.
Ooh, we got more. Okay, I love this.
All right, so
Mike's gonna be Venmoing
let's
out
just explain.
listeners.
Let's explain to the listeners what the offer is. And Mike, I'm going to match your 100. So the first person to submit a photo is 200.
I like
Catch
that.
me on the road all day,
Just
trying to
looking
make
for it.
$200.
Okay, so Natasha, you could clip this part. So here's the thing: the back of trailers traversing this country have a picture of the three of us with "Board on the Road." Tune in. So the first person to send the photo of that trailer on the road gets $200 in the mail.
And
I love it.
that person could easily be someone who did tune in after seeing it. And, if you think it's too late, still submit.
Yeah. Or it could be like one of the people who work for the trucking company who would listen to this and walk out into the parking lot and take a photo.
That would be amazing. That would be like the fact that they listened, incredible. That's all I need.
Mhm.
Well, hey, Eddie, Lori, now we know if you guys really listened. We're calling you out right here, right now.
Wow. Okay.
Easy money if you listen, truly.
Exactly.
I want to
Okay,
say one more
sorry.
thing before we jump into the topics. I didn't know what to wear today, and I was really hoping I would have my soccer jersey from the
Oh,
World Cup, but
You know what?
sorry. I'll come and drop
Sarah,
it off.
not my soccer
you know what?
jersey.
I already forgot about that because it never came. It's like it almost never happened. I just gave up hope.
I
No,
didn't,
it's
Mike, I
there.
did not give up hope. I just want you to know I'm still hoping.
Okay.
No, I only want it if mine
Okay.
has the gold necklace, though.
I'll get you one.
Shia,
Okay?
no, Mike,
I
do
want.
not. Do not.
He
He's
absolutely
fine.
should.
He,
No,
I'll,
I
you know
want
what?
It looks like Sarah. It's the traditional Iraqi dress. Just wearing a jersey doesn't show your true support for the culture. It's just
Why don't
saying, "Oh, I
we?
support the soccer team." We need to support the Iraqi culture because of Mike. And wearing the kaftan, that's not that Mike's an Arab, but that's the Arab style of dress, and therefore we need to be supportive. So just wearing a soccer jersey doesn't show our true support for our brother Mike.
Why don't we just get some gold chains?
I mean, yeah, he has
Oh,
plenty of extras of
All
those.
right.
We can grab some of those from his collection.
Let
That's
me
easy
let
enough.
me borrow some of that bling. It doesn't need to have any ice on it. Just gold is fine by me.
okay.
The Chaldean way.
Anyways, let's get into why we're all here today. I have
Hold
some
on,
good
hold on. One more
topics.
thing. If it comes here in
Okay.
anything other than if it comes here in anything other than an escalate, we're not accepting it.
Oh my God. Who doubles down a racist comment with another racist comment?
I'm trying my hardest to pull it out of you. I'm just trying so hard.
Shai, I think I'm putting you on probation.
Can I get a mute? Can I get mute control?
Get in line.
Oh,
There will come a
no.
day where the other side of Mike will come out on this podcast. I promise you. You heard it here first. It's coming.
$100 mute control is yours. All right. We got some good topics lined up for today. So let's start off with the first one. A New York City coffee shop banned a pro-Israel politician. So the coffee shop is facing backlash after saying Congressman Dan Goldman was not welcome because of his pro-Israel views. The controversy has now grown into a larger debate over antisemitism, political discrimination, and whether public businesses can refuse service based on someone's belief. So, Mike, you want to start us off and give us your thoughts on this topic?
As a business owner, I do agree that you should be able to decide who can and can't shop at your place, right? So I'll start with that. Um, I don't agree kind of with this situation here because you're opening up the door for a lot of different interpretations and other situations. So, if I don't want a customer there because he's rowdy or because he's, causing some kind of issues or just someone who's not spending money and just kind of like laying around there. I think that's up to me as a business owner. But when you start bringing in people's like politics and religion and beliefs or country of origin or anything like that, that's kind of where I have an issue with it. If I'm a big consistency guy. If you're gonna do it to a Jew, then you got to do it to a Palestinian. If you're gonna do it to that, then you got to do it to uh to a Democrat. Then you have to do it to a Republican. So like, that's kind of like where my mindset is. It's not necessarily the right way to think about it, but if you're going to do it right. Um, I think this causes a bigger problem and kind of like the lines start to blur a little bit, especially because like just because someone has Zionist views, right? And then we've like figured out a way to kind of like vilify that word, Zionism. So turning into a bad word and confusing people and making them think that it's okay. And then other businessmen will start doing the same thing, or business people will start doing the same thing. And next thing you know, Zionists, Jews, and Israelis can't go shopping anywhere because everyone's saying that we don't want you shopping at our places. So um, that's just kind of my take. You got to be really careful with this as a business owner. I think it's pretty reckless behavior. But Shia, I mean, what do you think? If you were that customer, what's going through your mind right now?
So this one's interesting to me because this is similar to that boycott that we talked about where they ended up boycotting Israeli Arabs. The guy that they were boycotting doesn't have a lot of support from the pro-Israel community because he's considered to be like left-wing on Israel issues. So again, the only thing is the guy running against him is even more anti-Israel, but the guy running against him, Lander, who won, is actually Jewish. So here's where it starts getting very confusing. So the shop says, okay, we don't support Goldman, right? So therefore you can't buy our coffee. But we do support the other Jews. So again, is it anti-Zionist? Is it anti-Jewish? Do they even know what the word Zionist means? Like, to Mike's point, they vilified a word that, to me, the definition was just simply that the Jews have a homeland. I never knew it to mean anything else. So I'm still unclear on, what they mean. But I think the question needs to be a little more pointed. And that is, does a company have the legal right to do it? Is it a smart business decision, right? I think these are very different questions, right? So what someone legally can do and what, our Mike and my, our personal opinion on what's a smart business decision, right, are two very different things. You can make whatever decision you feel is in the best interest of your business. I have no problem with that. The question is, do you have a legal right to actually, ban someone for shopping in your store based on their ethnicity or race? Or can you imagine if this was a black person and someone said, we don't want you can't buy coffee here because you're black? What would be the reaction to that?
Oh, outrage.
Right.
Riots.
Is there
Yeah.
a difference, right? Is there a difference? And then the question is, is the store saying you can't shop here because you're Jewish? Or is the store saying you can't shop here because you're Zionist, whatever that word even means? Or is it saying because you're pro the Netanyahu government, right? So you start really blurring a lot of lines here between what was the intent. It's hard to argue that this guy is pro-Israel because, again, he doesn't have a lot of support from people who are. And the only reason why the store went after him is because the other guy is even more anti. But I don't know if you guys remember, there was a Supreme Court case, I think it was in 2018. And there was a court case between a gay couple went to a bakery and they wanted to make a cake for their wedding. Do you guys remember this?
Yeah.
And the bakery said, hey, we don't support gay marriage, and therefore we're not morally able to bake you this cake. And they sued, and it went to the Supreme Court. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Do you guys remember this case?
Masterpiece Cake Shop versus Colorado's Civil Rights Commission, and the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Jack Phillips, who was a Christian baker who refused to design a custom wedding cake for a same-sex couple.
Right, but if you read the
beliefs, yeah.
right, but the ruling actually did not say they were very broad in what they said, right? They avoided the question of whether a business can refuse, the wedding related service for same sex marriage. And what they were saying was that the Colorado Civil Rights Commission showed like improper hostility toward Phillips. They never actually ruled on the question whether or not a business could deny that right. So they kind of punted, and people say, oh, they ruled in favor of the baker, but they did. That's true. But it wasn't for the reason that a company can deny service. So again, obviously the Constitution is clear. You cannot discriminate because of age, race, gender, right? So the question is, can you discriminate based on someone's beliefs, or their, what they stand for or something like that? It's, you know, I don't know. This is a tough question for me because as a business owner, it's, to Mike's point, you should be able to serve whoever you want. But to deny someone, if the reason was, and again, I'm unclear exactly on, was it because their perception was that he's pro-Israel? Was the perception was because he's Jewish? Like, I'm unclear on exactly their reasoning. Either way, I think it's a very slippery slope. Personally, from a business perspective, not a legal perspective, if someone wants to buy something from me, the answer is yes. I don't care. I don't care what I don't care what you believe in, what religion, what belief, color your skin. It makes no difference to me. All I care about is you're spending money in my business. So I don't see the
Advocate check
upside.
clears.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see the upside as it from a business, but ultimately as a business, you have a choice to make, you have a right to make your own choices. But Mike,
So,
does that make sense though, to differentiate between the legal right versus the kind of moral or business right?
Oh yeah, 100%. I have a buddy of mine who owns a restaurant, a catering company out in San Francisco, and he's as right wing as they get. Okay, living in San Francisco, and I always think that's hilarious. But he was reached out to by Nancy Pelosi's team to cater an event, and he's like texting me like, "Man, I don't want to do this." He's like, "But they're going to pay like $100,000." And I'm like, you'd be an idiot not to do it. Like this is great. And then I remember when he got the check, he sent me a picture. He said, I feel so dirty having to cash this. So, but he's, like I said, strong Republican, and she's a strong Democrat. So, um, to what you're saying, I think you should have a choice, but at the same time, um, business comes first.
So I guess, do you think that legally someone should have a right to say, I won't serve you because you're Chaldean?
No.
Okay. Do you think someone could say, I won't serve you because you support the Kurds and the Kurds are committing genocide?
No, not at all.
Okay, so then basically you're saying the same thing about this, right? So again, I'm unclear on exactly what the intent was, but you're saying they should not be able to decline someone's service because they support Zionism.
Right. Yeah. It's just it gets very like, you start there, right? But then, okay, I believe in, I don't know, gentle parenting, right? Now I go somewhere and they're like, no, well, we don't accept gentle parenters. You're raising weak children. Like it starts at Zionism and it ends with something silly like, hey, you're left-handed. We don't do
Right.
lefties here.
yeah, where's the cutoff for that? Yeah, you could do
Yeah.
that all day.
They seem like
So
silly, like, examples, but I if you give
no,
them an
you're
inch,
right.
they take a mile.
No, you're right. But so you're saying the business owner should not have a right to make a choice, even though they own the business.
Correct. But they should have the right, only with these scenarios, they should have a right to still decide to serve someone, based on if they're causing a ruckus. If someone's religious views are causing my customers to be uncomfortable, right? That's a different story. But
Right.
for
Say
Okay.
the
if
sole purpose,
that
yeah,
person went into the coffee shop and started a loud fight or altercation with someone who was pro-Palestine, or and that
Okay, but
created conflict for.
let me push back on that for a second. So hypothetically, if your coffee shop was located in a black neighborhood and a guy walked in with a KKK hood, right? Would you ban that person from being able to shop in your store, even though, right? Or if a guy walks in, with a yarmulke to Dearborn in a coffee shop, do you think they should be able to say, hey, we're not going to serve you?
I think out of the safety of that customer, you really have to like analyze the situation. But if someone's
Okay, but
walking in
now
with a
he's there.
KKK hood in a
Yeah.
coffee shop full of black people, that person's life is in danger.
Okay, but as the business owner, would you say I am not serving you coffee?
Can I give an opinion?
Yeah,
Of course.
please.
So I hate that, right? Like I wouldn't want to, but I also think serving them coffee quickly and getting them out of the store as quickly as possible is your best route to avoid any conflict between that customer. Because where problems arise, like obviously I don't want to see anybody in a
Sir,
KKK.
but that's not the question. The question is, do you have a legal right to deny them the coffee?
I
Of
I
course,
don't
that's a smart decision to just
I
smooth
don't
things
think
over, get
no,
out of my store. But
I don't think you have a legal right to deny them. You might hate what they're doing and what they stand for, but it's the same as someone kicking someone who's pro-Israel or pro-Palestine out of your shop. They're showing like they're wearing what they're in support of, which again, I do not agree with and I would never do and I would hate to see it. But if you kick them out, you're just as bad as the person in this story or in this
yeah,
article. That's my view. I don't know.
yeah, makes sense.
My
Yeah.
2 cents.
It
I want
it
to back
seems
up
like
and go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say the waters are really muddy in this situation, and Shai is trying to like get a true philosophical feel or like explanation of this and like putting us in real life examples, but it's hard, and these things don't have. It's not like they're happening every day. So
I
when it
think you're going to see it
happens,
happening more. I think this you're going to see people just to be provocative doing it more and more, and I think that ultimately there's going to be a what is the legal requirement as a business owner, right? Like for example, Mike, we have 10 of 2 brothers, right? If someone were to apply for a job for us that says our view is that the only way to peace is by blowing up Israel and blowing whatever, right? There should be no. Do we have a right to say, okay, well, our views are different, and therefore, we don't see you as a good fit? Or are we not allowed to say that, right?
right? It depends. Like, are they working in accounting, or are they like going to be like the face, or
But
you
but
know?
either way, right? Do you have a right to? I don't want to say discriminate. That's probably not the right word. But do you have a right to make a decision based on someone's views? I think we all agree on the religion, skin color, all of that. That's clear cut, right? You can't.
Mhm.
But if it's just their views, do you have a right to? Right?
Yeah. Um,
Like I'm not gonna lie. I would have a very hard time if I had a business and someone walked in a KKK uniform. I would have a very hard time serving that customer.
100%.
but you
Like I
did
don't know
say
that I
as
would
long
be.
as long as the check clears,
Yeah, so that's the question.
you
Where do
have
you
to
draw
serve
the
them
line,
fast,
right?
like Sarah said. You got to get an express lane.
Lightning
I,
McQueen.
I think that's the right answer to kind of calm down the situation before it erupts. But fair, but I don't know what the legal answer is. I don't know that there is a clear answer yet. I think it will end up. There probably will be a ruling on it, but the question is, how do you draw that line, right? Where do you draw the line
Yeah.
between, you know, they may not be disruptive walking in throwing chairs and making, I think we all agree again, then you don't serve the customer, right, no matter who they are. But if they're disruptive by purposely walking in to a Jewish neighborhood with a Hitler uniform, with SS uniform, or a Chaldean neighborhood dressed as ISIS, right, like where do you draw that line?
Yeah. Yeah. Just to soften the mood here. Do you think the KKK guy orders his coffee black?
Oh my god. Oh, there's your line.
That's a good one.
That's actually a really
Oh
good question.
my.
How would he say it if he liked his black coffee?
Natural.
Yeah, don't put anything else in there. Just put the coffee. If Mike, that's so good. If I own the store, I'd be like, okay, so you want a black?
Oof.
Okay, so make him say it.
Moving on.
Wait, I want to really quick the word Zionist because
Yeah.
I struggle with this. Has it always had a negative connotation? Is this a newer? I mean, when did it become like a bad word? Because I feel like people hear it, and I don't know if it's just because they don't understand what it means, but why do people take it in a bad way? Or
I'm
I
gonna
don't know.
I want Mike to answer this one first.
I just want to
I'm
learn here.
Yeah, I mean, I did a quick Google search because I'm very fascinated with the Jews of Iraq from 1950s and before, and kind of their involvement and their loyalty to the government. They were Iraqis first, Jews second, which is not typical of Jewish mentality. Usually, and Shia, tell me if I'm wrong. Usually, I'm Jewish first, and then I'm whatever country I'm from. But I think that there was even a Zionist movement in Baghdad that was accepted just because the people there were accepted. So this is before this whole like anti-Jewish thing happened and all the Middle Eastern Jews left. But I'm the same as Shai. I thought Zionism was the right for Jews to have a home, which is Israel. So what it's turned into, I think, is different than what it originally was, and it just makes it a lot easier to blame everything behind. Say, oh, yeah, I see a big argument is, oh, I don't hate Jewish people, I hate Zionists. And that's someone's like justification of like, oh, I don't want all Jews to get bombed, just the Zionists. But then you go and you look, and like 90% of Jews are Zionists. So you are kind of saying what you think you're not saying, but Shia knows way more about it than I do.
Well,
I
let's start with a really simple question. What is the word Zion? Where does it come from?
It's from the Bible.
Yeah, so Zion literally, right? The word Zion, Sarah, you could check me on this, is Mount Zion in Jerusalem. Right? So if you go back all the way back to King David, right? King David conquered Mount Zion. So you have like Mike, we've been there in Israel,
Hmm.
the David's Tower, Migdal David in Hebrew, David's Tower. This goes back how many thousands of years at this point? Right? That is where it comes from. So this place is called Zion. And literally the only meaning of the word Zion or Zionist, which goes back thousands of years, is that the Jews have a right to Zion, which is Jerusalem, expanded to mean Israel. And literally the only meaning is that the Jews have a right to a homeland in Israel. Again, this is not something new. And it's kind of like the whole TikTok, X, whatever, that has taken a word that has no negative connotation to it and turned it into a bad word. Like this is a 3,000-year-old word that translates into a spot that King David captured.
Thank you.
Now, you guys can
Very,
fact check me on this, but
No.
I'm pretty
I,
certain.
I
I,
was not that I don't trust your knowledge and your knowledge of the history of these types of things, but I did fact check because I was curious too, and you're exactly right. So I just don't understand it. I feel like anytime
It-
people hear the word Zionist,
it's
it
one of
does
those
sound like a
things
bad
like
word, and I don't know why.
is one of those things where social media has just kind of gone off to the races with something that's again not based on reality, and they've turned it into and I'm sure you can read the comments, Mike. I don't know if you saw some of the comments on our podcast, and people are like, F you and F this and F that. It's like there are certain things that are facts. We could disagree on a lot of things, and that's fine, but certain things are not disputable. And this is where it's like people are so opinionated about something that they just know nothing about.
And
Yes, sir.
that's why we're doing
You can go
this.
there. Yeah, right.
That's why this is important, because if we can change someone's mind and educate someone, then awesome. Even just educating them. We don't have to change their minds, but
right.
I just think it's so important. And people say, I don't know if you guys hear this ever, but you need to go touch grass. Like someone who's just got their head in the clouds, or they're, deeply into social media, and like you just need to go touch grass and like get back in tune with the world. I think that needs to happen more often. I think people are just so head down in your phone, listening to who knows what on social media and believing anything and everything. And this is a reminder to all listeners: go touch grass once a day. Go leave your phone inside, take a little break, and get some fresh air. Makes
I
everything
think
better.
Yeah.
we talked about this a few weeks ago on the podcast where, with AI, my opinion was the pendulum's going to swing the other way, where no one's going to believe anything they see anymore. They're going to have to see it themselves because of, how real you can make anything look. And I think this proves that point, right? I think that, people are believing some guy sitting in a cabin somewhere who's blasting out to 100 million people his views, but in reality, they've never seen it themselves. All they're doing is forming an opinion based on someone else's opinion, which many
Yeah.
times is not based on fact. It's based on the fact that every time you click on his video or her video, they get paid. So what drives interactions? What drives clicks? I don't know if you see like the thumbnails now on YouTube videos. Every one of them is like more dramatic than the next. Then you click on it, it's like you're not even talking about what it said on the, on the thumbnail in the front. So I say I'm with you. I think touching grass could be expanded to don't have an opinion until you see something yourself. No, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I think
No, I
don't
agree.
don't have an opinion on something until you touch the grass. Literally, like until you see it, don't have an opinion
Touch
because you
grass,
can't believe
people.
anybody or anything. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take a 15-minute touching grass break when we wrap this up. Anyways, next topic. This is a very serious one. Montreal shooting and online extremism. So a deadly shooting in Montreal is raising concerns about online extremism and how hateful ideas can turn into real world violence. Reports say the suspected shooter left behind a manifesto filled with anger toward different groups of people, including Jewish people, women, law enforcement, and major institutions. The story opens up a much bigger conversation about how people become radicalized online, why antisemitism often appears in extreme movements, and how society can recognize warning signs before violence happens. And I think that's a really big topic. I think, anytime there's a shooting or something like this comes up, it's like, didn't any of their friends or family or loved ones like notice that something, maybe they were detaching a little bit, or why did nobody notice that there was something odd going on before this occurred? But I want to open this up to you guys for thoughts. Shia, you want to start us off?
Yeah, this one's a tough one, and I think the thing that bothers me the most about this is how desensitized I am personally, but I think everybody, in the sense of there was a shooting in Montreal in a Jewish neighborhood with a guy with a manifesto, saying all these crazy things. And it's like, I saw it and I was like, oh, okay. And I just moved on. It's almost like I almost forgot. And I kind of stopped myself this morning. And I'm like, this is not normal. Like this should not be acceptable because it's just a matter of time before it's here. And today it's the Jewish neighborhood. Tomorrow, right, it's the Christian neighborhood, the Chaldean neighborhood, right? This is something that is, we can't just accept it as something that, okay, this happens, because it's only getting worse. And again, this goes back to the social media issue, but I'm not sure how to address it. I'm really curious from Mike's perspective on this, because on the one hand, I'm a, free speech, almost absolutist. Like you can say whatever you want and hopefully good ideas ride to the top and bad ideas go to the bottom. However, that's not working. Clearly, the good ideas are not coming to the top. And, that weirdo who was in his mother's basement, now there are millions of them in a forum together believing these conspiracies. And they really believe that by going to, shoot up, shooting up a mosque. Two of them shot up a mosque a couple weeks ago. I think it was in Texas, right? And that's wrong. That's just wrong, right? Shooting up a Jewish neighborhood, driving a car into Temple Israel, like all of these things, where do you draw the line between censorship and free speech, particularly when the free speech is really driving, these tragedies that continue to happen? Bondi Beach, I don't know if you guys remember in Australia, people at Hanukkah celebration getting shot up. And it's like, we've just forgotten about even the Temple Israel thing. We've all moved on. But, Sarah, I think, were you here that day when all day there were the police cars and FBI car, flying down Northwest Highway?
Yeah.
And it's like, at the time it was such a big deal. And then we're like, okay, kind of this is what happens. So I don't know. I would say my views are evolving. I'm starting to almost lean toward having some form of, maybe, I don't want to say censorship, but monitoring or something that prevents this from happening. Ultimately, you can't just have we're going to have security guards outside every single, institution or synagogue or church or mosque. That's not a solution. So my views are changing, I would say, rather quickly due to what's been happening.
Um, yeah, so I know this is like a topic, very sensitive topic. We talk about this a lot, outside of the podcast. Um, to this situation, specifically, I just pulled it up real quick, and he killed. It looks like he killed a 64-year-old Jewish man, and also a like 34-year-old Muslim police officer. So whatever he was trying to do, he failed at because he negated it, I guess, if you will, um, with the other killing. But you see a lot of this hate online, and the internet is not could be is an echo chamber for a lot of people. Someone who's grieving, someone who just kind of like a seed gets planted in their head, and then they find a community that happens to agree with them, and then next thing you know, everyone's like-minded. I said this in a previous podcast. The internet has put all the kids that went to school on the short bus. They put them all on the regular bus because now we're all together. Um, and the reason why I think the Jews keep coming up in these things is because, like, similar to like Islamophobia in the early 2000s, right after 9/11, that was the hidden villain. So the Jews are the new hidden villain now of the internet. And I'm a big conspiracy guy, so I always make a joke with Shia. You sent me AirPods a couple weeks ago to my house, and I think I texted you saying, you think I'm going to put these on? You probably inserted little bombs in here, just as a joke. But um it's a low hanging fruit for people. For me, on the joke side, I think the jokes are okay. But then for others who will seriously go out and do damage, it's equally low hanging, and it's easy to rile up or rally the troops when you mention that the Jews are the reason that their lives suck so bad. Um, and it sucks, and we are moving on way quicker than we used to. Um, I remember when the Iraq War happened. Um, all these car bombings that were happening every day. It would be on the news. They talk about for 2 or 3 days, but then they were happening so regularly that they would just bunch them in. Oh, five car bombings today. Moving on, like next topic. So we are very desensitized. We kind of like in the twilight zone of this stuff because now it's just clickbait. What can we care about right now, and how long can we care about it for? Is um is making it happen a lot more, and it's making us not feel it as much. So it's becoming the new
So,
norm.
Mike, do you think that there should be some monitoring or censorship on the internet for these things? Do you think there shouldn't be? What's your opinion on it?
You see, I don't know. I think there should be. Would I want there to be? No, but should there be? Yes.
And in what format should there be?
I don't know, just some kind of filters. I guess trigger words, which I mean, but then again, you do it. You put
Yeah.
filters on there, then there's new words that get created. Until those are exposed, it could be too late. Um, Facebook groups. There's a ton of Facebook hate groups out there, and Facebook, does what they can to stop them, right? But how are you going to police it? I don't
That's
I
my
don't
question
think
to you.
I don't think there's a way to do it. I mean, even if we agreed, yes, there's absolutely no way to stop it.
So you think just give up?
I mean, if we start there, what's next? We're monitoring people's text messages.
It's fair.
I have
I know.
friends
Slippery
who
slope.
aren't I have friends who aren't black who say the N-word. Okay, text it over to me in text message. Does that mean now we go and find all those people and you know do what with them?
We should talk about your friends, but that's a separate conversation. So again, I mean, I happen to agree with you. I don't know the answer to this one, but to me, it's and like I said, my views are evolving a bit because ultimately I'm scared to walk down the street, right? So it's like it used to be, free speech no matter what, anyone say whatever they want, but now it's gotten to the point where that's causing, schools to look like Fort Knox and armed guards everywhere in front of every single house of worship. I don't know. It's a very tough question because I believe in everybody's right to have whatever opinion they want. But, it's kind of like what we talked about before with the coffee shop, up until you're saying, okay, because you're black, you can't shop here. Right. So at that point, it's your free speech has crossed over to discrimination. So now where the
Yeah.
free speech is crossing over into actual people not being able to go outside, right? Does that cross over when they're just saying it? It's a really hard topic that I haven't fully formed an opinion on yet, but I would say my views are really evolving. Like I literally, I I know someone. I think I mentioned it before. She's a doctor in New York. Um, she takes off. She has like a Jewish star necklace that she got from her grandmother. She got attacked on a train, and she will not. She's too scared to wear it outside anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the funny thing
That's
is, she's a doctor who treats everybody, right? Like the people who are attacking her, she's treating them. She's saving their lives. It's absurd to me, but where do you draw the line? And I don't know the answer. I'm really not. I'm putting you on the spot because maybe you have something that I didn't think of.
yeah. No, I agree with you. It's how can we protect the free speech, but also recognize that online hate is turning, it's becoming a pathway to violence, more and more. And to what you said, the doctor in New York, that's really sad. Because when I traveled to Iraq last year, I wore my cross. Even going through border patrol and throughout the tourist sites I went to, and not one person made a comment, made a look or anything. Like they recognized it, they quick head nod and moved on. So it's sad that in a country like Iraq, I feel safer than this doctor does in America.
Yeah, Sarah, what do you think?
I think it's a slippery slope because if you start censoring things online, where do you stop censoring things online? And I'm
Right.
not a fan of censorship, but I mean, the online hate is so, so, so harmful and deadly, and it breaks my heart. Like, even just on a smaller scale, how fearless people get behind their keyboards, talking, just saying things to people about their looks, about the way they talk, about this and that. And it's like, this is just another person. Like, how could you, like, this is a stranger online and you feel so comfortable tearing apart every little thing about them. And at the end of the day, like, they're a person just like you are. So what gives you the right to be able to say that? But you have a right to say things. People just take it to the extreme, and
Yeah.
there just needs to be like more love and compassion in the world. And I think that all starts at home, but I could go on about that, like, parents being parents and raising their kids and showing them love and guidance and spirituality, and, that being the foundation that carries them through. But there's a lot of that missing. And I could
So
talk about that for a long time.
none of us have the answer to this question.
No. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think you can censor. Like, if we're saying, I don't think you can start censoring, because it's just like denying some, like a patron
Yeah.
business and saying you can't buy coffee here. Where do you draw the line? So no
So let me ask you a
censorship
question.
is my vote.
Let me ask you a question then on that point. So if someone writes in a group chat, I am going to shoot up a church tomorrow, right? Should you be able to arrest that person for saying that? Or is free speech, in your mind, does free speech kind of supersede,
Well, I mean, that's a threat. And I think that any threat like that is made should be taken seriously. And so I would say, yes, that person should be arrested. At the very least, to set a precedent and say, like, this is not okay. You can't, you have to take that seriously. And if they don't arrest them and they do shoot up, like, it could be an
Okay,
empty
let me
threat.
go one further. If you don't have someone says, I want to shoot up, or I want to shoot a synagogue, it would make me so happy to kill a bunch of black people or a bunch of Jews. Someone says that, but they don't say specific, right? Should there be any repercussions for saying that? Or in your mind, does free speech say, you know what, you can say whatever you want? I mean, obviously we disagree, but
Your examples are tough.
Yeah, they're tough
right,
but these things do happen, and people say it all
they
the
are
time.
happening, and they're happening
Yeah.
more and
Right.
more.
Right. But no, you can't go and arrest everyone who says it. How many times just think about as a kid, if someone like, I don't know, flicks your ear and you turn on, I'm going to kill you. It's like, but you're not really going to kill them. it's like a figure of speech. Saying I'm going to go
So,
blow up a
Right.
synagogue and kill a bunch of Jews isn't a figure of speech. But I
Gosh,
just don't think I don't
terrible.
I don't think that everyone who's saying it is going to do it, and not
so,
everyone who
but where do you
says it
draw the line?
should be jailed for
Where do
thinking
you,
it.
so where do you draw the line?
What if you have like probation from social media? I mean, what's going to stop them from opening up another account and another username? But like every time you make a very harmful comment like that, I don't know what you're deeming harmful or very
But
harmful or
that would be against what
that's
you said. That would be
I
against what you said. Any censorship.
yes, but I just think there need to be repercussions, but I wouldn't say censor that person forever. I just think there needs to be like okay, you violated our
But sir,
da-da.
isn't that a form of censorship? Because then what you're saying
Yes,
is you're
yes.
censoring that person's. They may future want to say something and they'll say, I don't want to get banned for 30 days or whatever. So that's a form of censorship.
Okay,
I
you're
mean,
right.
monitoring these people, right? Like, it comes out to light, and then these people have acknowledged that they are going to be monitored, right, for all of their online activity and things like that. So, you're not censoring them, but you're just letting them know, like, hey, we're watching.
Okay, but I'm going to play devil's advocate then. Like you said, should we read your friend's text messages and monitor them? Meaning, where do you draw the line on who gets monitored?
Well,
Right.
that's
Who
different.
decides that?
A text is a more well, a private conversation versus if you're putting this out online
What if you have a private group?
publicly. Well, I think for every private group there are moderators
Okay.
or some version of that. And that's not to say if you're in a hateful group, the moderator is probably just as hateful
That's what I'm
and
saying. So you're in a hateful
open to those
group. You're in
comments.
a KKK group, right? And in that KKK group, they say, you know, someone writes in the group, I would love to go kill a bunch of black people, or a bunch of Jewish people, or a bunch of Chaldean people, but a bunch of Christians, whatever. Pick anything, right? Should that person be monitored? Does that person have a right to say it? I'm not talking about a specific threat where someone says, hey, Sunday 9 a.m., I want to go shoot up that church or that synagogue or that mosque.
Yeah.
I'm talking about someone who broadly makes a statement.
It's a tough one, Shia. This is
It
way above our
is.
pay grade.
I don't ask
Yeah.
you guys the
And
easy questions.
right. And even knowing what it could do, like good by having something like this in place, I think I would still oppose it in the end.
Okay, but what if you were a black kid today or a Jewish kid today and your kid had to walk down the street with an armed guard to get into school because of that? Like, what if you felt it more? Because today you don't feel it as much, right? Today it's theoretical, but tomorrow you might. So
Right.
where do you draw that line? If today your son or daughter had to walk into school through a SWAT team, literally to get into school with two, double whatever walls of glass and armed guards, would your perspective be different?
It probably would, but I just think for the greater good, we cannot turn into that kind of country
Okay,
where
fair
everyone's
enough.
just under surveillance. It's
I'm asking
just
all the
think
questions. I don't know the answer myself, so I don't have
yeah
the
This is
answer
the great
because
debate.
well, no,
yeah
because
no
I'm
it's
with you guys. Like, I believe in free speech. I believe it's very dangerous once you start censoring or monitoring. It's such a slippery slope. The flip side is people are getting shot in the streets and people are scared to walk outside. How do you thread that needle? I don't know the answer, but I think it's something that needs to be thought about because I think this is going to continue becoming a larger issue because it's just going to keep happening.
Is it looking like finding a country where there's the least occurrent, like there aren't as many occurrences of mass shootings and mimic what they do? Like, what are they doing right that we're
They
doing
have
wrong?
censorship. They have censorship.
Well, then maybe that is the answer. I hate it,
If you
but
if you look at other countries, they're almost, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, almost every country has some form of censorship, right? Like I'm just thinking through countries in my head. I'm trying to think of someone who doesn't. I can't think of any
can
who
we
don't any.
can we circle back on this?
Sure.
I feel like we could debate this all. I think it's a great conversation. I would love to hear what listeners think too. To censor or not to censor, that is the question. But
Yeah, and I think the question also is censor, not censor. Where do you draw that line between free speech and an actual threat?
what if we just got rid of all social media? I think the world would truly be a better place without
I
social media.
happen to
Like wholeheartedly, no more X, no more Instagram, no more TikTok.
Yeah.
On
Go out,
that note,
touch
did you see
grass.
people now are buying flip phones?
Touch grass.
Do you see flip phones are like becoming a thing again now to disconnect?
The
No,
tree
I
is
haven't seen that.
bending.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Some company just came
That's
out, like they
good,
just brought
Sarah.
back their flip phone.
I would consider a razor. Those were my pink razor it gave me life back in the day. If they bring flip phones back, I also want ringback tones to come back though.
Oh,
Verizon,
nice.
and I'm looking at you.
Just
I'm
think
not-
of
I'm
all
not-
the extra time that we'll get.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so
It would be-
Commodore, best known for the Commodore 64 computer, is launching a new flip phone called the Callback 8200. I just read about this the other day. And they're making a comeback because for exactly what Sarah's point, people want out.
The future. Okay, so I went to the callback website. It says the future of flip phones. If that's not the funniest thing you've ever heard,
Exactly.
wow. However, you can video call. There's a picture of a mom video calling what looks to be a very young son.
I think it has like some basic features like GPS and like some, but like no
Wow.
social media. I think it's exactly what you were saying, Sarah, that it's like, it gives you like what you need, but not access to all the other. That's what I was reading online the other day.
If flip phones can come back, then anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you
I
see
think
that
that-
Native Union? Sorry, Sarah. What?
I was going to say, seeing this website is my version of touching grass for today. Like this is crazy. This is blowing my mind. They're pretty cool. I might get one.
Did you see that Native Union came out with an actual headset that you hold, like, you know, the old phone handsets that plugs into your phone via USB-C? Because people
Yes.
like the feeling of holding
yeah.
a phone.
Yeah, they have them in Bluetooth now. So it's just a Bluetooth handheld. Like, what? Someone saw that and said, I've got an idea. We're going to make this wireless again.
It's so funny. My daughter has a little, like an old rotary phone. It's Minnie Mouse themed. And I do love like picking it up and having a fake, little phone call with the cord. And she likes carrying it around with the cord. But one day she's going to be like, Mom, what the heck? What is this? Like, I've never seen one of these in my life.
My nephew, they have like they have a house phone there because the kids don't have phones, so they have cordless phones, and they keep losing it, and they have to go page it. And one time he said to me, he's like, "Why don't they just make it with a cord so it doesn't get lost?" And I'm like,
Brilliant.
If only you knew.
Give that boy a Nobel Prize. That's amazing.
That is funny.
Okay, one more topic for today, and then we have to wrap it up. So this one's interesting. Drones, public safety, and the new security challenge that we're facing. So U.S. agencies have reportedly seized more than 300 drones near World Cup sites since the tournament began. While the World Cup is the largest example, the bigger story is about drones becoming a new challenge for public safety, privacy, law enforcement, and major events. So drones are no longer just a hobby, people flying them around having fun, or a tool for making videos. They're now being used in sports, warfare, delivery, surveillance, real estate, media, security. The list goes on. So many applications for drones these days. But as the technology becomes cheaper and easier to access, businesses and governments are being forced to figure out where drones are helpful, where they're hurtful, where they're dangerous, and how they should be regulated. Mike, as a conspiracy theorist, do you want to start us off with this one? I'd love to hear your take.
Actually, as not just a conspiracy theorist, I don't have my drone here, but I am an
A
avid
drone
phone
owner,
dryer.
of course.
I'm a droner is actually what we call ourselves.
I love it.
I never knew that about you. Really?
Yeah, I enjoy it. My kids love to sit and watch it fly and they like point it out. And I bought one at Sam's Club years ago. It was just a little a mini one, And it was so cool. Like you fly around, you got the screen, you see what's going on. Um, and funny enough, last summer I flew it over Comerica Park here in Detroit. So
Hmm.
it wasn't a game day, but I flew it over, and then I was like, "There's no way this is legal." Then I Googled it, and I absolutely should not have flown it over Comerica Park. Um, but luckily there was no game on. But I'm a big fan of drones. Even when I was in Philadelphia for the World Cup match just a few days ago, my cousin was with me who after he saw me, getting into drone, he went and got one himself. So he pulled up the map, it's through the DJI app. DJI is a brand, and there was a red circle around the stadium. He's like, "Wow!" It's like, "Look, like I've never seen a red circle around anywhere." Like, because that would probably only be like in Washington D.C. or like very secure areas that shouldn't have drone coverage or drone flying capabilities. But that whole area was sealed off. So what happens is you get alerts to your phone that says you're in a restricted area, like you need to leave now. Um, and I've had a situation where I flew my drone over to the Chrysler building in Auburn Hills. And the Chrysler building is very fascinating because I was flying, and then an abrupt stop. Okay, so I could see everything in front of me, but I just can't go any further. So they have some kind of something in place that just like stops you from like penetrating their airspace, which I don't know who's trying to steal like Stellantis secrets because like in my opinion they're very behind. Um, but I thought it was really cool that I couldn't penetrate air. So
Whoa, that's
yeah.
crazy.
So I know a lot about this topic only because I almost invested in a couple of companies to prevent drone like this. I think Mike, I think I mentioned to you the one we almost invested in, didn't work out, still might. But okay, so there's two different kinds of jamming, right? You have the GPS, which is like spoofing, and then you have this thing called RF jamming, I think it's called, the radio frequency
No,
jamming.
yes.
Um, and what's interesting in the drone technology world is with the way like Hezbollah now is going after Israeli soldiers on the border is by going old school where the drone is actually attached to a wire. So they're using like a spool of wire and they're launching the drone out because this way you can't jam the frequency to stop it from flying. So Mike, you flew into one of those, right? Where you can. But the issue is from a safety perspective, every time you come out with a feature to jam them, scramble the GPS, however it's working, there's a way around it by going old school, right? It's like how Hamas planned October 7th. They didn't use phones. They didn't use computers. They used a kid and a piece of paper, right? And that's how they got away with it. So the question is, what happens on a privacy level? This is where it gets very interesting. Like, Mike, can you fly it over my house, right? And my window's open and look through the window. Speaking of which, Mr. Conspiracy Theorist has a drone. This is fascinating to me, but I never knew this about you. But I guess from a privacy perspective, where do you draw the line? I read there's a case in Florida where an insurance company flew it over someone's house, saw that the roof had some issues, and then wouldn't renew their insurance. And the question is legally, can you do that? Like you didn't ask to inspect the home, but is that like a publicly
Yeah,
available image? So I
you
think this
bring
is
up
one
a
of those
good
things.
point.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things we talked about at one of the first podcasts about, Tesla having self-driving or cars having self-driving. Is it reckless driving for you to go to sleep and put your car in self-driving mode? I think the laws are going to have to catch up with the technology. I don't know that there's an answer today for a lot of these questions. And it's going to be interesting because it kind of will depend on the judge, right? Is it a violation of privacy or is it, I have a legal right as an insurance company to see, you don't have to give me access to your property. I'm accessing it from the public domain, the sky, right?
Mm.
So that's going to be interesting. And then I think you're going to see a lot of cat and mouse now with the militaries, right? I think the fighter jet model is going to go away and everything's going to be unmanned, right? The drones, I've seen the fighter drones up front, up close. They are huge, huge. I mean, the wingspans are just massive. You don't realize how big these drones are and they carry missiles. They can stay in the air for days at a time. And, there's no risk to human life from the, pilot / drone operator perspective.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I
the
was
people
gonna
that drop
say,
in them.
hold on.
Yeah, no, I mean, but like if you're the U.S. military and you want to patrol the waters over, wherever the ocean, doing it with a drone seems a lot, it doesn't put our soldiers' lives in danger, right? Ultimately, if we lose a drone, it's a lot different than losing a human. So unmanned operations is the future. I don't know if you guys saw with the Iran war, many of the boats that we destroyed for the Iranian Navy were taken down by unmanned, like underwater Navy drones, where it was like a boat that was fully unmanned, controlled by an operator. So there's no question it's the future of warfare. Ukraine's using it very effectively. I think we're going to have a lot of issues when it comes to privacy again, kind of similar to what we talked about before with where do you draw that line? Where can you, like, can you not fly? Why can't you fly your drone over Comerica Park? Who's making that decision? If there's no game, who gets to decide where you're allowed to fly your drone?
Yeah. Yeah.
And why do they have the right to decide that?
Similar to like a driver's license, there are certifications that are, I think, recommended, not required yet, but I could see policy kind of shifting to anyone who gets a drone has to go and like register it or something. Some cities do that with pets. But to the core of our podcast, back to business, the business side of this, or the business mind side of this is that this is where technology is moving faster than policy, right?
Yeah.
So as a businessman, like I see opportunity here, and I think the regulators are seeing the risk second, and then usually things don't get done until the public starts making a big fuss out of it. So maybe the World Cup will put that more in perspective. But as just a drone hobbyist, I'm open. A droner, correct? I'm open to the regulation, and I'm open to keep people active in using it. But the skies are going to be a lot busier with the Amazon drone delivery, and who knows how that's going to be? Maybe this is where big corporations kind of take over and take the suck the fun out of it, because now I can't fly my drone because it's in a Amazon delivery time frame, and now I'm restricted. So not really sure which way this is going to go.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. To Mike's point, by the time the policy catches up, generally speaking, there's new technology again, and the policy is behind. So
Yeah.
it's going to be very tough to kind of put some safeguards in place. And again, that don't infringe on people's rights. It's where do you draw that line? Ultimately, everything seems to come down to that.
Yet another topic we could debate for what seems like forever. But I think we're all out of time for today. This was a really great conversation. Love talking to you guys. This
is great. I'm going to get out of here and fly my drone over to catch you touching grass, and then we'll post it on next week's show.
Can you deliver our jerseys with the gold necklaces?
Yeah.
Via drone?
It's not that big of a drone. It's like this big.
Okay, make
we gotta
2 trips.
Get you a bigger drone, you droner.
Please.
Make 2 trips.
I might get you a shirt that says professional droner.
Please. Can we get one for him, Sarah? Please. Let's get that made.
Consider it done. All right, guys.
Perfect.
It's been real. Catch you next time.
All right.
Take care.
Take care, guys. Shout out to Natasha, by the way.
Natasha.
Natasha. Bye, guys.
See you guys.